Météore might honestly be the most luxurious take on a blue style fragrance. Hey, what's going on? Hunter here and welcome back to my channel. And if you are new, what I do is I make fragrance related content. So if you love fragrances, hit that subscribe button down below and also make sure to follow my Instagram page. But that's right, today we're reviewing Météore by the house of Louis Vuitton. Now, I've been absolutely loving this house lately. They make some of the best freshies in my opinion. Now, Météore, however, was not a love at first sniff. It was actually one of my least favorite from the entire men's line when I sampled all of them. Honestly, this is a fragrance that you absolutely have to spend time with, get some wearings out of, and you start to appreciate just how beautiful it really is. Now let's go to some information about Météore. Now this fragrance was launched in 2020. I believe it was the first launch outside of the original 2018 launch, which included, of course, Nouveau Monde, L'Immensité, Sur la Route, etc. And then they launched Météore. Now, this fragrance, as far as the retail prices go for the 100 ml like you see in hand, is going to run you $300. However, what they offer at Louis Vuitton is once you go through your bottle, you can take it back to a boutique and they can refill it for you for $195. So I absolutely love that they do that for you and that is an option. The concentration for this is an eau de parfum, so you are getting a little bit more perfume oils in the fragrance over like an eau de cologne or an eau de toilette, so that is nice. Now the perfumer, the master perfumer in my opinion, behind this fragrance and behind all the fragrances within Louis Vuitton, because he is the in-house perfumer, and that is Jacques Vallier. Now he does amazing work when it comes to fragrances. He's done many designer fragrances, many niche fragrances, some of which include Tuscan leather, which was actually my first high-end purchase maybe like 5 or 6 years ago. He has a phenomenal resume and you can watch some of his interviews. Also, maybe I'll link those down below, talking about Louis Vuitton fragrances, all the natural ingredients that go into them. And the one interview I watched, he actually sprayed a ton of Météore on him. So yeah, phenomenal information. So definitely check out his interviews. Now with all that information out of the way, let's go to look at the packaging and presentation you get with this now. Now, take a look at the boxes that most of the Louis Vuitton fragrances come in. They are like a recycled paper box. Of course, Météore Louis Vuitton. Up top, you do have your barcode and batch code to authenticate your product and see when it was produced. On the bottom, you do have the same information right there as well. On the back, you do have some of your information and ingredients. Then it does open like so. And inside is housed a canister. Here is your canister. It says the same thing as the box, but on top you do have that Louis Vuitton, kind of like a plaque on top, nothing on the bottom or the sides. So let's look at the bottle now. Now, unlike the box, these bottles are absolutely stunning in my opinion. I love the simplicity about them. Of course, Météore Louis Vuitton embossed in the glass. It is a blue juice. Of course, this is a blue style fragrance. On top, you do have the Louis Vuitton logo. Now, in the men's collection, they are gunmetal. In the women's and the Middle Eastern collection, they're gold. And in the cologne collection or the California collection, they are white. Now, these caps are magnetic, which is always nice, and they are very weighted. And you do have your atomizer right there. I know a lot of people always ask me if these are dab bottles because you can't really see the atomizer stem inside. It is invisible, but these are, of course, atomizers, not dabs. And also a fun fact is these bottles were inspired by the original Louis Vuitton fragrance. I forget the name, but it was launched in the early 1920s. So that is some information as well that a lot of people don't know. And on the bottom, you do, of course, have engraved all around the bottom, probably your batch code and some information. Just absolutely stunning looking bottles. In the top, you have mandarin, orange, and bergamot. In the mid, you have pink pepper, neroli, pepper, nutmeg, and cardamom. And in the base, you have vetiver, and this fragrance will be classified as a fresh citrus. So let's spray this one and test out these beautiful atomizers now. Very nice distribution, some of the best in the game. Now, let's smell the opening of Météore. So right off the bat, immediately you're gonna smell a very clean, sparkling bergamot note. But alongside that bergamot, you're gonna get this nice sweet orange. That mandarin and orange combination makes it very, very sweet in the opening. Now, honestly, when I first smelled this one, I thought it just smelled like laundry detergent or like dryer sheets. It's very clean, soapy kinda as well. I thought it was just completely generic and wasn't worth the money. But like I said earlier, this is a fragrance that warms up to you and you have to test over and over again to start to appreciate this one and see exactly what it's made out of. And also, these are very, very natural. This one comes across extremely natural, nothing really synthetic about it at all. And that's another reason why I love these Louis Vuitton fragrances. Now, as this one starts to dry down is when you get this nice neroli note that just brings even more cleanness to this fragrance. And honestly, I'm not usually the biggest fan of white florals or neroli in general, but in this one, it's not like a sharp kind of piercing neroli note. It's a little bit more toned down and kind of clean and creamy is what I get from that neroli. Now, alongside that neroli, you do get that pink pepper, which is very dominant. It's one of the most dominant players in this entire composition that just brings a little bit more depth and character to the entire fragrance. I definitely do get something waxy that sort of resembles iris or even orris as a note, even though it's not really listed in the note breakdown, but I could definitely detect something irisy in here that brings a creaminess along with a waxiness. This one just smells so luxurious. Like I said in the intro, one of the most luxurious takes on a blue style fragrance. So if you love styles like Bleu de Chanel, Sauvage, Dylan Blue, like anything in that genre, you'll absolutely love this one and probably even prefer it because it's 10 steps above all of those in my opinion. A night and day difference when it comes to the quality of this compared to something like those in like the lower end designer realm. You can definitely see this one does smell like a $300 fragrance. Now, what you're pretty much left with once you finally get your way into the base of Météore is this very grassy vetiver. It's not too earthy, not too dry, not too wet. It's just perfect. I love the way Jack Cavalli composed this entire fragrance. Now, I do have to say, all together when it comes to the note breakdown, how it actually smells, is probably the most generic from the entire Louis Vuitton collection. I'm saying that with a grain of salt. This is not a generic fragrance in general, just the DNA compared to everything else. It's not too complex. It is pretty basic. It does smell more so like a designer fragrance than a niche fragrance, but it's done just perfectly and, like I said, the most luxurious upscale quality way. If you're just looking for a high-end fragrance that's not going to offend anybody and will get you a ton of compliments, Météore is probably the one I would recommend from the entire collection. It's the most inoffensive as well and probably one of the biggest compliment getters out of all the Louis Vuitton fragrances. Even probably surpassing Imagination, because Imagination does have a very complexity note breakdown to it that a lot of people aren't used to. This one though, you will smell like other people around you, just in a very different high-end sort of way, like you're a boss of a company, a CEO, something like that, but you smell fantastic. Now let's touch on the best seasons and occasions to wear Météore. Honestly, this one could be very versatile. However, the three best seasons in my opinion is fall, spring, and summer. I just don't think it has that much depth to it to be wearing in the cold winter months. There's much better fragrances, and especially from Louis Vuitton for the colder months. But for the fall, spring, and summer, I think this one works the best. Now for occasions, I had to think about this one because it could be a very casual fragrance, but honestly, I could see this one being dressed up as well. So this one works perfectly, very versatile when it comes to occasions. You can wear this one running errands, you can wear this one hanging out with buddies, going to the office, going to work. You can also wear it on a date night, you can wear it to a wedding. Just anything a little bit more formal, it will work perfectly as well. So do not worry about this one, it can be dressed up and dressed down. Now touching on gender and age groups for this one. Now I could definitely see this one being unisex, slightly leaning on the masculine side, but if you're a woman watching this one is probably one of the most unisex from the men's collection alongside Imagination. So don't be afraid of that just because it is in the men's collection of fragrances. I actually own quite a few from the women's line as well that I wear. So yeah, I don't think it's totally masculine, but it does lean slightly more on the masculine side, even though it's unisex. Now for age groups though, this is definitely one of the more youthful fragrances from the men's line. Obviously, like L'Immensité is a little bit more mature, or Ra is a little bit more mature. Of course, Nouveau Mond's mature. This one, though, could be definitely rocked from a younger guy and like maybe a teenager, especially if you got money or your family's got money. You want like the best blue fragrance you can buy. you could definitely rock this one. But also if you're older as well, you could still pull this one off just because it has a sophisticated, classy vibe about it. Even though it does lean slightly more youthful, a mature guy can pull it off 100%. Wrapping things off on the performance. Now I see a lot of people complain about Louis Vuittons not performing, but honestly guys, for me, they all perform very, very solid, besides one, and that's Afternoon Swim. I wish performed better because the fragrance is outstanding, but it has its purpose. It's obviously made for the summertime, by a pool, something like that, where it's gonna wash off anyways. Météore though is one of the better performers from this house. I would still give it about average, but definitely on the higher scale of average, around 8 hours of longevity with very, very good projection. This one was pushing off the skin maybe like 4 feet or so for a good 3 to 4 hours, guys. So no complaints at all when it comes to performance of Météore. If that's what you're looking for, you really can't go wrong with this one. It smells good. It has that mass appeal about it. It has that luxurious upscale take about it. High end, very versatile, and it easily performs throughout the entire day or a complete work shift without any hesitation. So yeah, definitely check out Météore if you love blue fragrances. This is one of the best in this entire genre. And also what's crazy is I've never smelled anything quite like this one. It's nothing like Bleu de Chanel. It's nothing like Dylan Blue. It's nothing like Sauvage. Nothing like Acqua di Gio Profondo. Nothing like YEDP or anything like that. It has its own unique characteristic about it. And that's why I appreciate this one so much more after actually spending time and get to know it even more. But that's going to do it for my review of Météore. Let me know down below if you've ever tried this one. If you had the chance to check out any from Louis Vuitton, which is your favorite. As always, leave a like on the video down below. Subscribe if you guys haven't already. And I'll see all of you back here in my next upload. Take care, everybody.